perhaps Dr. Pritzhouse or Krause could answer this about Ohio in particular. If Dover had its elections and changed the political spectrum there, what's the next step in Ohio? Do we know when the standards are being revised? I know that records have been requested in preparation perhaps for a lawsuit, but somebody could answer.
I think that's you.
Okay. The situation here is complicated. We don't have the easy out that Kansas and Dover and Darby, Montana had, because our Board of Education has 11 elected members and 8 appointed members, appointed by the governor. If this had been a matter left to the elected members, we wouldn't have had the standards issue, the benchmark that invites critical analysis of evolution, which is clearly illegal based on the recent case law. And we wouldn't have had this lesson plan. So you can't blame our elected officials, sort of oddly enough. We could blame the governor for not paying more attention. Basically, the governor, as was revealed by the Hicks emails that were released this summer, the governor allowed certain creationist members of the board to sort of invoke his name for stuff without saying that it was not what he was promoting. And so they were able to manipulate other members of the board, and particularly the appointed members. So a lot of folks, unfortunately, went to the polls last fall and tried to vote out school board members, and they didn't really vote in, vote out good ones and vote in bad ones, but nearly. It was not the approach to take. Instead, I think that one of the things that we can do right now is we have a window of opportunity, because the board is meeting next Tuesday in Columbus at Ohio School for the Deaf. You can find this on their website. Next Tuesday, the plan is for them to meet in closed session with some lawyers to talk about this. Now, I understand the Columbus Dispatch is challenging that as illegal, that because it's not currently pending litigation. I'm not sure how that's going to go. But regardless of whether they talk about it in the morning or the afternoon, there will be an opportunity for public comment, starting probably as early as 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Then. Is that right? Yeah, around 1 o'clock. And any citizen, anybody actually, can come and comment in, it's called open commentary on non-action items. Yes, non-action items. You come, you sign up, you fill out a card, and if there aren't a lot of people, you'll get 5 minutes. If there are a lot of people, you'll get 2.5 or 3, and you can say whatever you want. And it's very important to show up there and to state your opinion. And again, folks that are sort of comfortable with science, with the academy, this sort of thing, they tend not to go down. But the board is often very, very welcoming of people. They want to hear from citizens. They especially like to hear from students, which I hadn't realized before I started going down there. But the issue, in a nutshell, is that we have a benchmark in the 10th grade curriculum that says students should describe how scientists continue to investigate and critically analyze aspects of evolutionary theory. And when that was sent up, I said, well, I don't have a problem with that. That's what scientists do. But I didn't realize fully the context at that point. It's very like the Georgia sticker, and it's illegal for the very same reason. And we see that it was built on to produce this lesson plan, which is full of the same stuff that's in the Pandas book, and clearly illegal. In addition, and this hasn't, in fact, Ken got this a little bit wrong in his talk, we already have altered the definition of science here in Ohio. There were 2 things that the creationists got through in 2002. One was the critically analyzed benchmark, and the other was that they took the Ohio Academy of Science definition of science, and they cut off the part that refers to evidence and just kept the first part. Now, there are other places in the document, in the standards, where we say that science has to do with evidence. So I didn't get all that excited about that. But you see, it's a process where, little bits chipping away. And actually, the Kansas folks used our definition to build on for that. So it's already here. And that's another element of the standards that is clearly illegal right now. They can fix this next week, next Tuesday, if they hear that people are in favor of it.
Did Dover School Board not get reelected because the population really felt that intelligent design was not proper in the schools? Or did they not get reelected because the population felt it was a waste of their money for the
Does it matter?
Hey, I'm going to answer this question.
It explains why in Kansas again in a very few short years, the lessons of 2001 have been forgotten.
Okay. The answer to your question is yes. I think both of those were true. I also think there's another element that, if you read the York Daily Record, which is the paper that covers Dover almost every day on the internet, which I've been doing for the past 4 or 5 months, you can see this at work. I think the people of Dover were profoundly embarrassed by the actions of several members of the Board of Education. And I gave a hint of it when I said, the judge said, they came in front of me and lied. And there was one at one point in this trial was just absolutely hilarious. The purchase of these 60 copies or thereabouts of Pandas and People cost a certain amount, like $692, something like that. I don't know what it was. And they asked Alan Bonsell, who was a member of the board, where that money come from. This is in deposition. He said, I have no idea. It came from an anonymous donor. Okay. So you do the discovery process. You subpoena everybody. Put them on the stand in the trial. Said, where did the money come from? He says, I have absolutely no idea. I heard it came from an anonymous donor. What is this, Mr. Bonsell? Canceled check. How much is it made out to? $692. Whose name is that? It's my name. So would you like to reconsider what you just said? And so forth. And he said, well, what I meant was, I went to my church. I told the congregation we needed money for this. I passed the hat. I collected the money. I put it into my bank account. I wrote the Board of Education a check. But I didn't notice who put in a 5 and who put in a 10 and who put in a 20. So when I said I had no idea where the money came from, that's what I meant. And at that point, the judge cut up the other lawyer and said, excuse me, don't insult the intelligence of this court by pretending that an answer that you have no idea is equivalent to saying you solicited it, you collected it, you bundled it, and transmitted it. There was another case where a member of the board who was one of the instigators named William Buckingham on the deposition at the trial said that he never wanted to teach creationism. He never mentioned creation science. This is a figment in the imagination of the plaintiffs. He just wanted to teach intelligent design. Then they play a videotape from the local news TV station that had preserved the tape. Reporter shoves a microphone in his face and he said, I think as long as we're teaching evolution, we have to balance it by teaching creation science. This sort of disingenuous testimony, I think, profoundly embarrassed people in Dover. I don't know if there'd be anything like that, the equivalent of that in Kansas or Ohio. I think it's fair to say the Dover elections were pretty close. The electorate voted for the new board like 53% to 47%. So it was, even though they won every seat, it wasn't a complete landslide. Has science won the hearts and minds of the people of Dover, Pennsylvania? I don't think so. I think it won the hearts and minds of a fair number of them, and a lot of them just got fed up and disgusted with what they regarded as the antics of the Board of Education. So that's my analysis from outside of what happened in Dover.
In front here.
It's already on. They'll switch to it.